Okay, yeah. So, like Ariane said, today's meeting is going to be on financial aid, how to apply for it, and the different scholarships that you can apply for to get extra money for college. So, let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to be going over first of all FAFSA and then how you can apply for it, what it is, things like that, as well as all that information for CSS Profile. And we're also going to be talking about the California Dream Act. And then finally, we're going to be giving you some sample scholarships that you can apply for if you want some extra money or you just want to put that on your college applications. Okay, so let's go over what FAFSA is. So FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And what it is it's a form that's required by the federal and state government, as well as all the colleges that you apply for if you want to qualify for financial aid there. So you have to submit this by June 30th, and the deadline for this year already ended, but the next year's application opening is going to be in just about a week, I believe. So it's really important that you start doing that application as soon as possible because a lot of colleges have a first come first serve basis. So if you want to have the biggest chance of getting that aid from that college, you should try and apply it as early as possible. So essentially, FAFSA is like an application through which you're going to be giving information that colleges will be using in order to calculate the amount of financial need that you have. So what financial need is it's the difference between the total money that is required to attend that college, basically the admission fee, and the amount of money that your family is able to pay for you to go to college. So the difference between that is what is called as financial need. And based on this financial need, colleges are going to be calculating a percent based on a percentage, the amount of money that they'll be able to provide you in order to attend that college. So you can also so the government will also be using this information to give out financial aid, which we'll be going over in a little bit. And like I said before, that some colleges will give financial aid based on whoever applies first. So you can try and apply as soon as possible to increase your chances and like make the most of the amount of time that you have to apply. And you can apply for this your senior year, and you can also apply every year that you're in college. So if you're currently a senior, then or if you're in college, then applications will be starting in exactly 1 week. So there's a lot of information that FAFSA requires. So we're just going to be giving you all that information so you know what to expect. So first, you're going to be needing your FSA ID, which is the username and password that you create in order to gain access to the U.S. Department of Education's online systems. They're also going to ask for your social security number as well as your driver's license or an alien registration number if you're not a U.S. citizen, so that or you're an international student. And then you're also going to need your federal income tax return, W-2s, and other records of the amount of money that you're earning, as well as your parents' income tax returns and W-2 form, as well as 1040 forms if you're dependent, and your bank statement, your Title IV institution codes for each school that you're applying. So there's a lot of information that they're going to be asking, so make sure you're prepared for that. So we're going to be giving you an example because this might be a little bit confusing when I was talking about the money things. So pretend you're a student that comes from a family with EFC of $50,000, which means that you're able to pay $50,000 to attend that college. And the cost of attendance at whichever college that you want to go to is $80,000. So the difference between those two prices, those two prices is like $30,000. So that is what is called as financial need. So that's the amount of money that you need in order to attend that college. And then the college will tell you that, hey, we can give you a grant that's going to cover 50% of this cost, the $30,000 that you need in order to attend our college, which means that we're gonna be covering $15,000 of the amount of money that you need. The other $15,000 can be got from the loans that you take out at the bank or any scholarships that you apply for, or if you get a job, any money that you earn from that job can be put towards going through college. And you can easily pay off that $15,000 if you do all those things. So a lot of people might be asking, okay, what if I don't make a really low annual income and I make a good amount of money? So if you're a high income, if you come from a high income family, you should still consider doing the FAFSA. So some reasons for that is that you may still get aid from the college. You don't know for sure whether the college is going to give you aid or not. So it's always better to just apply and see if you can see how much aid that you can get, because something is better than nothing. And some scholarships that you apply for may require information from your FAFSA application. So it's a really good idea to just keep the form filled out so that if a scholarship asks for it, you just have it ready. And Cal Grant is a big scholarship that will require you to give FAFSA info, and it's a state program. So this is how the state will be using your FAFSA application to give out money, which an example of that is the Cal Grant. So it's important to try, and even if you're like a really high, if you come from a really high earning family, still apply for FAFSA because this will be beneficial in a lot of ways. So it's always a good idea to do that. Now we're going to be talking about the CSS profile.
Okay, so the CSS profile. So the CSS profile is basically a financial aid application that's run by the College Board and is similar to FAFSA. FAFSA basically deals with federal aid and CS deals with non-federal aid. So even if you come from a high-income family where your financial need may be small, it's still beneficial for you to fill out the FAFSA form, since you might still qualify to receive aid from the university, and in some cases, you'll be required FAFSA information when giving out merit-based scholarships. State-level programs such as Cal Grant will also require FAFSA when giving out their own aid to students. You must fill out the FAFSA to be considered for federal student aid, and you have to fill out the CS profile to be considered for your state and institutional aid through the school. Also, if you're filling out the FAFSA, you should also be filling out your CSS. The FAFSA determines your eligibility for federal aids like Pell Grant, work study, and federal student loans. If you attend most colleges that participate in the Title IV federal financial aid program, the CSS profile is used only by certain schools listed in the CSS profile site, which we'll send in the chat in a little bit, as part of their financial aid process for aids like grants and scholarships. Submitting the CSS profile does not impact your federal financial aid, including the expected family contribution. The CSS profile will also help colleges determine your financial needs and award you with financial aid packages that can make both college affordable and also accessible. The maximum amount that you can get from a Pell Grant as of the 2021 to 2022 is $6,495. The amount granted depends on your expected family contribution, or your EFC, cost of attendance, your status, full-time, meaning your status as a full-time or part-time student, and your plans to attend a school or a full academic year or less. So, as you can see in the table, the most significant difference between the FAFSA and CSS profile is that the CSS profile asks for more information about you and your family's financial situation, which can be good and bad. Some information that is not considered on the FAFSA is the value of your family's small business, which is considered an asset on the CSS profile. On the other hand, the CSS also takes into account circumstances such as medical expenses.
Excuse me, just a minute. Actually, are you sharing any slides? Actually, I'm not able to see anything, or I don't know whether it's just me.
Is everyone else able to see?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
I see.
Oh,
Okay.
do you want to rejoin?
Yeah, I'll try and rejoin. Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just restart. Okay. So on the other hand, the CSS also takes into account circumstances such as medical expenses that may limit your ability to pay tuition. And the main aim of CSS is to reduce your financial aid package. Is not to reduce your financial aid package, but rather to provide a complete picture of your family's ability to pay for college, as you can see from the diagram. So now we'll be talking about the California Dream. Now we'll be talking about the California Dream Act.
All right, Ari.
Okay, so okay, let's talk about the California Dream Act. Now, this allows undocumented students, DACA recipients, U visa holders, and students under temporary protected status or TPS who qualify for non-resident exemption under certain bills to receive certain types of financial aids, such as private scholarships funded through public universities, state-administered financial aid, university grants, community college fee waivers, and Cal Grants. In addition, the California DREAM Act allows eligible students to pay in-state tuition at any public college in California. So this is mainly for non-citizens and non-permanent residents. And the deadline is March 2nd of every year. This is because usually a lot of non-citizens can't receive federal financial aid. Okay, now let's talk about some common materials you need to apply. You need your driver's license if you have one, your SSN card or number if you have one, ARN if you have one, your ITIN, you need your deferred action for childhood arrivals DACA number if you have one, and a list of the colleges you're interested in attending, obviously. And you can get a Cal Grant based on your California DREAM Act application. Okay, so now we'll be transitioning into scholarships. We'll be talking about parts of the scholarship application, some example scholarships by major, like CSS, CS and engineering scholarships, medical scholarships, and law scholarships. All right, so first let's talk about the parts of a scholarship application. Usually there are 3 such parts: your resume, your essay, and your recommendation letters. Now your resume includes your contact info, your education/academics, which includes maybe some APs you took, your AP scores, your GPA and all that. Leadership activities like, I don't know, leadership of being a leader of a nonprofit or being a club officer, anything like that. Your extracurriculars, your community service, and some references to certain people who can vouch for your, like I said, authenticity and accomplishments. Now there is also the essay, and the prompts are pretty similar to what you'll see on college essays. So you can just you can usually just adapt a common essay, you can just adapt a college essay for this thing. And you can also adapt essays from one scholarship application for other scholarship applications because they're pretty similar. And then lastly, you will also need your recommendation letters. You will have to get them from teachers that know you well, and you can also get them from your counselor in some cases or a third person that knows you pretty well too. Okay, so let's talk about some example CS and engineering scholarships. So the first one is the American Nuclear Society Incoming Freshman Scholarship. There's also the ASHRAE High School Senior Scholarship. There is also the BMW/SAE Engineering Scholarship. There's the PG&E Better Together STEM Scholarship. There's a Vipin Agrawal Scholarship, and it's a Lockheed Martin STEM Scholarship. Yeah, many of these are offered by big corporations, hence you can see brand names in them.
All right.
Preet, would you like to take over?
Yeah. So, hello everyone. So I'll take over from here with all the rest of the scholarships. Starting off with the business scholarship. Usually, business scholarships are very hard to find. But here's an example: Allied Van Line Scholarship, and all these like scholarships are all linked here in the chat, or sorry, in the presentation, which we'll be sending at the end of the presentation, in the Telegram group chat, and we'll be sharing the video recording on YouTube. So like I was saying, business scholarships are pretty rare to find. And here's one example: Allied Van Line Scholarship. And moving forward, there are different examples of medical scholarships. So medical scholarships are usually given to students who really need the financial aid in the programs that they're part of. And it also depends on the I guess the colleges or the universities that they're attending and how much they can provide, how much aid they can provide to these students. So here there are 2 examples: the Melissa's Hope Scholarship and the NBM Scholarship. These are both very good medical scholarships for people that need the money for their tuition fees and all that. Moving forward, law scholarships. Most of these law scholarships are need-based. And for those of you that don't know what need-based is basically whatever your tuition fee is, and let's say you can't pay that, you really need that money so for you to attend that college. that would be your need-based scholarship or your money that required. And for law especially, these scholarships would be need-based. And so some of these scholarships actually require a lot of different application processes. So some require applications, you have to answer questions, or some require essays, some require you to take tests or interviews. So if you are applying for scholarships like that, be aware that there might be a rigorous process to get accepted into that scholarship. And most of these scholarships are provided after admission into college. So for example, I just say you got into law school for Harvard, and you need the money for your tuition fees. Basically, they would offer you these scholarships after you've gotten that admission into Harvard. All right, and here's some examples of law scholarships. AALL Degree Candidate Scholarship, Bay Area Minority, Orwaren, Media Fellows, Aula May, Legal Opportunities, Child of American Veteran Scholarships. So again, we'll be sending all these scholarships in the chat later on. I just want to point out real quick though, some of these organizations require you to provide your contact information, and they enter you into like sweepstakes for your scholarships. So not all these scholarships are factual or are legit. Some of them have like, they're just scams, and they might sell your data to other organizations. And you just want to make sure that you don't want to fall into like these scammy scholarships, and you want to know which ones are actually the real scholarships that you can actually get. So apply for scholarships that you know are with legitimate partners and well-known companies like PG&E or Lockheed Martin, and always review your scholarships before sending out your information to anyone randomly. And the last thing is, take out student loans only from credible loaners, preferably the federal government. And if you cannot, just make sure that you don't take out loans from someone random. And before we move on to the Q&A, I want to point out that all these links that we have here, they're all linked. So for example, let's say if you go to one of the law scholarships, you can click on these links and we'll find out what scholarship it is. And then it'll be talking about what the deadline is, what the requirements are for the scholarship. So for example, for this particular law scholarship, you need an essay with the requirements, and then your letter of recommendation and your resume. Moving forward, there's also another set of scholarships here. 1 second. Let me just, if I go all the way down here, feel free to look at all these speaker notes. They have a lot of good information, deadlines, amount of money like each scholarship provides. And here's a list of scholarships that are for non-US citizens or green card holders. These are for immigrants. Basically, here's a list of all the scholarships they are, the due date, who can like take that scholarship, and like what's your eligibility, like what do you have to be, what age, what grade, whatever GPA, and then what the scholarship amount is. And here are all the links to each of these scholarships. So what we'll be doing is we'll be sending these scholarships or these links in the main group chat via this presentation. So we'll be sharing this presentation with everyone, and then if you would like, you can go ahead and look through these scholarships. And that's pretty much it for today's session. Now we can move on to Q&A. I know a lot of people have many different questions regarding financial aid, FAFSA, Q&A, and all that. So we can move towards that.